evening and welcome to the Hatha Yoga Center, 7:00 p.m. Just going to fix the camera here. Beginners level yoga. My name is Chris, and tonight I would like to start in a seated position. So you may want to have something to sit on, like a cushion, or if you have a yoga block or something like that. And you may want to have a strap available, some kind of a strap. So starting in a seated position, you can sit cross-legged, or if you're more comfortable with your legs straight out in front of you, you could do that. Or just shifting around as you go to help you stay in this position. So we'll be doing some things seated to begin with. So finding your seat, letting your sit bones be heavy, and feeling your spine rising up. And feeling the place where your head is kind of balanced on top of your shoulders, shoulders over the hips. And then beginning to bring your attention to your breath, and we'll just take some balanced breaths here to begin. So inhaling and exhaling through your nose, and trying to make your inhale and exhale evenly matched. So you could close your eyes, let the front of your chest be open, relax your face, inhale, exhale for the same length of time. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And then if your eyes are closed, you could open your eyes. You could bring your hands together at your heart and just pause for a moment to set an intention for your practice, or a dedication for your practice this evening, if you'd like. You could bow your head to your heart and just take a moment with that. Breathing consciously. And then opening your eyes and sweeping your arms up, reaching up. So letting your seat be heavy and reaching up through your fingertips. Let your shoulder blades slide down your back, and then bring your hands together at your heart, bringing the hands back through your midline, and sweep the arms up, circle them up again, and bringing your hands back together. One more time like that. Sweeping your arms up, reaching. Bringing the hands together, exhaling, bringing them back down. You could interlace your fingers and just gently stretch your wrists and hands, kind of drawing your shoulders back as you press through the hands. And release that. And then bring your left hand over towards the floor and reach your right arm up, grounding your right sit bone, looking up underneath your arm. You could turn your palm towards the back of the room, keeping the neck long. Relaxing your left shoulder, maybe bending the elbow, feeling the stretch in the side of your body. And then coming over to the other side, bringing right hand down, left arm up, keeping yourself square to the front of the room that you're in, but turning to look up if you can, if that doesn't irritate your neck. Nice deep breath. Grounding your left sit bone, and then coming back to center. And then bring your hands onto your knees and just round your spine. Exhale, bringing your heart forward, leading with your heart. Inhale, and just moving like that in kind of a cat-cow wave of the spine. Inhaling as you come forward, exhaling as you round your spine. And another time through. And then let's take an easy twist. So bringing your right hand to your left leg or knee, keeping both shoulders relaxed, keeping the head neutral and the neck neutral, so not forward or tipping up, just keeping the chin kind of level with the floor as you turn your upper body, keeping your lower body grounded, breathing. Just a gentle twist. And then you can sweep your arms up and come over to the other side, bringing your left hand towards your right knee. And then maybe go back and forth a couple times, bringing the arms up and over, and up and over. One more time, up and over, into the twist, and up and over, and then back to center. And then just with the neck for a moment, just tipping your chin towards your chest, keeping your spine upright, and then tipping the chin up, bringing your neck into extension, stretching the front of your throat. And then one more time through, dropping chin to chest, and back up. Feeling that stretch all the way into your throat. And then back to center. You could turn your head to the left. Keep the shoulders relaxed, but you're still upright. And then to the right, just moving through these different range of motion, movements of the neck, and back. And then tipping your left ear towards your left shoulder, not raising the shoulder to get to the ear, reaching out through your right arm. You might then move your chin a little up and down, just feeling into that stretch gently. Breathing. And then coming back to center and reaching out through your opposite arm, tipping your right ear towards your right shoulder, and maybe lifting the chin, and bringing it down. And then back to center. And pause for a moment. Feel your breath coming in and out through your nose. So this is a beginner class. And we breathe through our nose in yoga. Sometimes we use a breath called Ujjayi breathing, where we slightly close off the glottis, the back of the throat, so that we can just gently hear our breath as a way to focus. And using our breath throughout the practice to gauge how we're doing. So if we start to hold our breath or feel like we can't breathe, then back off. There's no pose and no movement that you have to do, obviously, and so if you feel like it's not right for your body, or you're going into some territory that might feel like it's causing pain that doesn't feel productive at all, or any kind of burning or nervy kind of feeling, or any kind of pain that just doesn't feel right, your breath will start to be more labored. So always backing off and finding your breath. So let's come onto our backs. And you might have a strap handy if you have a belt or like a bathrobe strap or something. So come onto your back and bring your arms out to the sides, your feet the width of your mat if you're using one, a little wider than the hips. And let your knees go side to side, just slowly. Side to side with the knees. Still feeling your breath, staying with your breath. Next time your knees come over towards the right, you might pause and just let them stay there and feel that stretch. You'll feel it probably in your right lower back and the waistline of your left side as your knees are over to the right. Keeping your shoulder blades on the floor, relaxed, and then bringing your knees over towards the left and just making sure there's room for the right knee to fall towards the floor. It might not come all the way down. And just feeling that stretch in the right waistline, in the front of the hip, probably down into your leg. Breathing. And then bringing your legs back up. So your knees are bent and your feet are on the floor. Bring your arms up above your head and reach up. And then press into your feet and lift the hips. So coming up into bridge pose with your arms up above the head, keeping a little attention to the back of the neck. So untucking your chin, keeping that curve there. Then come up onto the balls of your feet and just really slowly, one vertebrae at a time, rolling down. Let's do that one more time. So just lifting the hips slowly with the arms up above the head, keeping the neck curve, coming up onto the balls of your feet, and slowly, really slowly, rolling down. One vertebrae at a time if you can. And then draw the knees into the chest. And just rocking a little bit side to side. And then we'll bring the right foot down to the floor. Drawing your left knee in. And just kind of draw the knee in towards the side of your torso, and then let it come back out just a few times like that. So kind of compressing and flexing deeply into the hip and then backing off just slowly. And then you might keep your left hand on your knee and make some circles. So circling the head of your femur bone around in your pelvis. So feeling your hip and the movements of the hip that are possible in this particular range of motion. So you're moving from internal rotation to external and back in again, then switch directions. And then release that foot and bring your right knee up with both hands, drawing that knee in towards the side of your torso and just compressing and releasing a few times, drawing it in, feeling the front of your hip flexing and releasing. Just feeling that movement. And then taking the right hand on the knee and making those circles on this side. So you're moving again through the range of motion that you have in this regard. So internal and external rotation of your hip, making circles in one direction. Feel your belly has to work a little bit to keep your sacrum on the floor and keep you stable as you make this motion. So we're not really moving our upper or our torso at all. We're keeping it pinned to the floor, just moving into the hip joint. So isolating that movement. And then drawing the knees back in again and just rocking a little bit from side to side. And then you might bring your right leg back down and bring your left leg straight up. You might have your knee bent a little if your hamstrings feel like that's too much. Bringing your hands around the back of your left thigh and flexing your foot a lot and just kind of drawing that leg in closer without rolling up in your lower body. So pressing your tailbone back towards the floor, feeling that curve underneath your lower back, scooping your belly in. So you're feeling it in the back of your leg, hamstrings, maybe behind the knee. If your foot's flexed a lot, you'll feel it probably in your calf. And then you could let it come back up and circle your foot, circling your ankle joint. And then switch directions. And then you could point and flex your foot a few times. So plantar flexion and dorsiflexion of your foot. And then release that leg, bending your left knee, putting the sole of your foot on the floor and lifting your right leg up. So bringing the hands back behind the thigh and flexing the foot, and you could just gently draw your leg back as if you're bringing your foot towards your head, and doing so with your spine remaining in this neutral position on the floor. So your lower back's not rolling up to bring your foot closer. You're keeping your tailbone pressing back towards the floor. And you're breathing, relaxing your shoulders. Breathing. You can always bend the knee a little bit if you need to. And one more breath there, and then bringing your leg back up and circling your foot. So making circles with your ankle joint in one direction and then in the other direction. And then try flexing and pointing a few times. And then draw the knees in again towards the chest and rock a little bit side to side. Try bringing your feet to the floor again. So you're in this, your feet are hip width but parallel. And then just bring your arms down by your sides and press your feet into the floor. You could walk your feet away from your hips a little bit and just try rocking your upper body. So keeping your feet is what's moving you on the floor. So you're kind of moving your upper body, kind of sliding it. And then draw the knees in towards the chest. Just feel that little bit of vibration in your body. And then let's roll onto the left side. And we'll do some exercises for the hip muscles for stabilizing the hips. So bring your knees just a little forward of your body like this, keeping this, your pelvis is stacked, so you're not leaning back or forward, it's straight up and down. And it's gonna stay there. And then we're gonna lift the feet up and we're gonna do these clamshell-like movements. So we're gonna bring one knee up and back down. You can stabilize yourself with your hand if you would like. You can also bring your head down or onto a pillow if that's more comfortable. Try to keep your neck comfortable here. So opening the knee and closing. A few more times. And then release it, and you can kind of give yourself a little pat on the muscles there and those rotators. There's 6 muscles in there that help your hips to rotate in both of those directions in the external and internal rotation. This time, lift your feet, lift the knee, and then we'll straighten the leg, bring the feet back together, knees together. And we're keeping our body still, so we're not leaning back. A few more times. Opening the knee, straightening the leg, feet back together, closing the knee. 2 more times. Probably feel a little burning in your outer hip muscles as they're working. And then again, just letting it go. And then one more thing here. Let's bring your top knee over and then try lifting the bottom leg up. You can flex the foot. You can always put your top knee on a pillow or a block too if you need to. So just lifting that leg straight up so you're adducting your lower leg. Still keeping this stacked pelvis and supporting your head and releasing that. Bring your knees together and just roll onto your back and pause for a moment, just easing that side out. And we're going to come to the other side. So we'll come onto the right side, supporting your head again, either with a pillow or you can use your hand like this or like this. So stacking your hips again, and bring the knees slightly in front of your body, lifting your feet, keeping them together, so like a clamshell, you're opening the knee, going slowly, so not with a lot of momentum, but using the muscles to make the movement slowly. Say 3 more times. And then release it. Just getting those muscles to let go a little bit. And then we'll add the straight leg. So you'll lift your feet, lift the top knee, straighten the leg, bring the soles of the feet back together, knees together. Open, lift, feet together, knees together. You might feel some burning in those hip muscles. As long as you can breathe, and it's like the muscles are sore because they're working, that's okay. These are always intense. We're working on strengthening those stabilizing muscles, which will help also to protect our low back. And 2 more of these. You can always stop sooner if you feel like you can't take it anymore. And then release. And then we'll straighten the bottom leg, the right leg, bring the knee over, and we'll lift the bottom leg straight up, so you're bringing it in towards the midline, so adducting. Keeping your hips stacked still. Going slowly. It's tempting to try to use gravity to help you, but see if you can make it more about a muscular, slow effort. 2 more. And then draw the knees in and come onto your back. And just rock it out. I'm going to put on a little music. Whoops. Let's come on to hands and knees. So spreading your hands underneath your shoulders, bringing the knees underneath the pelvis, and finding your tabletop position. So the back of the head is lifted, not dropping forward. Finding this long neutral spine here, and then start cat-cow. So you're going to round the spine, draw the belly in, let the head drop, and then tip the pelvis, arching the spine, inhaling, moving back and forth between cat and cow. Exhaling as you round. The next time you drop your belly and come in and inhale and come into this arch position, just pause for a moment, find your breath. And then the next time you exhale, round the spine, draw the belly up and in, widening in your upper back, stretching, let your head drop, and then release that. Walk your hands forward, coming into prayer pose. You could lift the forearms and wrap the elbows in. So stretching into the middle of your back, feeling it broadening as you wrap the elbows in. Maybe you could reconnect with your intention or dedication that you set for your class tonight here, and with your breath. Just bringing yourself back to center, and then walking your hands over towards the left, reaching. You bring your head down. You can always put a block under your head if your neck feels strained. Maybe flipping your right palm over and bringing the back of your right hand towards the floor. Keep drawing your right sit bone back so you feel that big stretch all the way up the right side of your body. And then walking the hands back through center and over towards The other side towards the right. Long spine, drawing the left sit bone back. Flipping your left palm, so the back of your hand comes to the floor. Breathing as you're reaching through. And then walking hands back to center. You could bring your elbows, you could kind of walk them in front of you, bring your palms together. So you're stretching into the backs of your upper arms, maybe pressing your fingertips together and your palms apart. Again, broadening in your upper back and lengthening back up through the tail. Nice deep breath. Relax or release your arms and walk them back in again. Actually, this time tuck your toes and bring your hips back, stretching the bottoms of your feet. So feel the ball of your foot kind of evenly on the floor. You might be able to bring yourself into this kneeling position, but if that's too much weight on the soles of your feet, just come forward with a long spine. So you're regulating how much weight you're putting into the soles of your feet. And finding your breath. And then untuck your toes and try stretching into your wrists. So turning the fingertips back, and you could bend your elbows a little bit, keeping your spine long in this way, so we're not hunching up the shoulders to get to the wrist stretch. Again, coming back to the breath, feeling that stretch, and then release it. You might take a moment and stretch your fingers one at a time. Each little part of your body is important. And then the other side. Shaking it out. And then wrap your right elbow. Bring your right elbow on top of your left elbow. See if you can reach back for your shoulder blades. You might be able to reach all the way around, or maybe not, but just feeling your upper back. And feel how you can still let your shoulder blades be relaxed down the rib cage, so you're not hunching up here. And then unwind your arms, bring the opposite elbow on top, and reach back for those shoulder blades if you can. Unwinding your arms again, reaching out, bring your right elbow on top of left. This time, if you can wrap your forearms, this is eagle arms, and see if you can drop the shoulder blades, finding your neutral spine, lifting elbows and lifting fingertips, kind of finding your gaze. And you might turn towards the left just a bit, so the stretch intensifies in the back of the right shoulder. Nice Ujjayi breathing. And then bringing your arms back, unwinding your arms, opening your chest for a moment, bringing your left elbow on top, wrapping your forearms again. You can bring the palms, my palms don't quite meet, but my fingers come to my palm. And then again, still lifting fingertips, lifting elbows, even as your shoulder blades are sliding. And unwrap the arms, open your chest. And then let's come back to hands and knees again. So stepping your right foot back, tucking your toes in the ball of your foot into the floor. You might rock a little bit forward and backward, keeping the head lifted, lifting belly so navel's moving towards the spine. And then release that side and tuck the toes of your left foot, the ball of your left foot into the floor, just rocking a little little bit. And release that side. Then let's stretch through the right leg, straight back, toes are pointing straight down, and the left arm comes forward. Your gaze is lifted ahead of you. Neck stays long, lifting navel towards the spine. If you want a little more, you could lift your left foot just like an inch off the floor. So your little rudder is not helping you anymore. And then release that, circle the hips. Circling in one direction. And then maybe in the other direction. And coming back to your hands and knees again. This time we'll reach back through the left foot, pressing through your heel. Your sacrum stays level. Toes are pointing straight down, reaching forward with your right arm, thumb pointing up. Really press into the floor and lift up, lift the belly. You might lift your right foot slightly off the floor for a little more challenge. Breathing steadily. And releasing that side. And again, circling your hips. Your hips off your ribs. So your hips are moving independently of your rib cage. And then moving in the opposite direction, letting your head be a little loose, your neck, I should say. And then walking the knees back for a moment, coming into your prayer pose again. Tractioning the spine. And then coming back up one more time. We'll do one more thing here on hands and knees. So we'll start with the right leg. So reaching back through the right leg and then rounding your spine. Exhale, draw the knee towards the nose, lift the belly. Inhale, reach back. Exhale, round, knee towards the nose. Draw the belly up and in. Do that 3 more times, so about 5 times on each side. Reaching in, inhaling, exhaling and rounding. Last one. And release. And just circling a little with your hips. And then reaching back to the left foot. Inhale, round and exhale, knee towards the nose. And 2 more. Exhale, round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, round. And then make your knees wide. Your feet can be together. Coming into a frog pose. So keeping the spine long. Feeling the opening of your inner thighs. Feeling the breath. So finding just the right place for your pelvis. So if you bring it forward more, you kind of take some of the intensity out of the pose. You also don't want to have your hips too far back, so just finding the sweet spot and breathing. Nice steady breath, steady gaze. And then coming forward onto the belly and bringing your legs together. And rocking the hips a little bit side to side. And then bring your hands under your shoulders. Let's come back up. Let's come up to stand on our knees. So we're in a kneeling position. Bringing your hands back to your sacrum and coming into a camel, kneeling camel pose. So lifting your heart and finding some back bend here without dropping too far in. So more lifting up. You're pressing your hands into your sacrum. And you're breathing here. And release that. You could sit back a little and just let it go. And then coming back up to the knees, let's step your right foot forward. So balancing yourself so that your weight is really over the leg. So if you were to lift the foot, the right foot, you could balance. And then keeping that engagement, letting your arms float up. So lifting through the pubic bone, grounding through your tailbone, keeping a neutral pelvis here, finding the breath. And then bringing your hands down, walk that foot a little further forward, but keeping the same orientation with your pelvis. So you're not dumping forward into too much of a back arch. You're still lifting up, but coming a little deeper into the stretch of the front of the left hip. And you could keep your hands on your knee and breathing. And then perhaps you could bring your hands to the floor. You can always use blocks if you need to, or a book or something to support you, but keeping the spine long, see if you can bring your knee forward so that you can get some stretch in the back of the calf and also in the front of the left hip. So be careful with the knee if that causes any pain or discomfort in your knee that doesn't feel right, just back off. And then bringing your weight back up and step that knee in. And then step the opposite foot forward. So let's go in and out of that a couple times. It helps to have the arms out to the sides for balance. Stepping the knee in, step the opposite knee forward. So coming to the other side, just practicing these things that will help you to get up and down off the floor. So again, bringing the weight over the right leg, and so that you could actually lift your left foot, and then bringing that leg down. This time reach back, clasp your hands, and open the chest. Release your hands, let your arms float up. Nice steady breath and steady gaze. And releasing your hands, walking that foot forward a little bit, still lifting through the sternum, the crown of the head. So coming forward, deeper into the stretch of the front of your right hip. As you lengthen up at the same time. And then perhaps you could bring your knee forward. Again, keeping this same long spine. So that means you need to have something under the hand, like a cushion or a block or something. Staying with your steady breath, so you're feeling it in the back of your left lower leg and your ankle joint, Achilles. And then bringing your weight back and step that foot back. Let's do that again. Step your right foot forward and back to your knees. Left foot forward and back. One more time. Right foot forward, right foot back, left foot forward, and left foot back. Let's come forward onto your hands and knees, and then walk your hands forward, coming into Sphinx pose, bringing your forearms to the floor. Your elbows are just a little in front of your shoulders, kind of like you're dragging your belly forward, opening the chest. Again, your tailbone's pointing down towards your heels. You're lifting the belly a bit, so taking a little bit of the arch out of your low back. So moving it towards neutral. And finding your breath here, letting it be steady. Legs are engaged. The variation of cobra. And then letting yourself come down, just rocking your hips a little bit side to side. You could relax your head to one side. And then here on your belly, sweep your arms back, clasping your hands at your sacrum and reaching back as you roll your chest up, lift your toes. See if you can keep your hands up above your bottom so you're not resting your arms, you're engaged, lengthening back. Bring your right leg on top of the left leg and cross your legs, squeezing your knees together. And then just unwind your legs and release, rocking the hips a little side to side. Sweeping the arms back again, clasping the hands, lifting up. This time, coming up, breathing. And then we'll lift the left leg on top and squeeze your knees together. And release again. Just bringing your hands into a little shelf for your head, rocking the hips. In fact, bring your knees a tiny bit wider and your feet up, and let your knees go side to side, or your feet go side to side. Bring your left knee up, so your right leg is straight back. So you're like in a half frog position. And then try lifting your left ankle, so you're internally rotating. Not going to any place that feels pinchy, and then bring it down, just a couple times like that. And then bring it back. Then bring your right knee forward and out to the side, so you're in that half frog position. And then just lifting your ankle up, like you're going to internally rotate your hip a couple of times like that. And then bring that leg back again, rocking your hips a little bit side to side. And let's do one more round of locust pose with the legs crossed. So bring the hands back and clasp the hands and bring left leg on top, squeezing the knees together. Keeping the neck long. And then switching. Bringing right leg on top, squeezing the knees together, reaching through the toes. You can always rest your hands if you need to, or lift them up. And then releasing. And rocking the hips. You could let your feet go side to side, like windshield wipers. And then just pause for a moment. And then let's reach the arms forward. You can have your thumbs pointing up. And let's lift left leg and right arm. Try to relax your right leg so you're not lifting by pushing into the right thigh. And then switch. Again, keep your left leg relaxed. And then go side to side really slowly. And release. Again, rocking your hips. Press into your hands and come back up, lifting your tail, finding your long spine. In your prayer pose. And then coming up to your hands and knees again. Let's lift your left arm up, opening your chest, and then tucking your arm through and coming into this position to kind of lay down on the back of the shoulder. You're reaching forward with your right arm and wrapping your elbow and shoulder in. You can always put a pillow under the head if you need to. Staying up on the knees. Doing your tail. Try to keep the neck at ease. So if that means you need something under your head, please take the time to find a pillow or something. And one more breath here. And then coming up and out of that, we'll come up to hands and knees again, this time lifting the right arm up and tucking it under, reaching forward with your left arm, so you're in kind of a twist in your upper body. And wrapping the left elbow and shoulder in, so you're feeling the broadening in the middle of your back, lengthening of your spine, breathing. Feeling the breath coming in and out through your nose, nice and steady. And then walking your left hand back and coming back up. Do a few cat-cows just to kind of even yourself out. And release that. You might want something for this next pose. I'm going to grab a block. So if you're at home and you don't have a block, you could use a book, for example. So we're going to be on our knees, and we're going to step our left foot out to the side. The toes will be pointing forward. And then you might want the block. You might be able to bring your hand to the floor here, or you might want the block under your hand. And these blocks can be used at different heights. So you're reaching from the sole of your left foot all the way up through the fingertips. And maybe you're looking up underneath your arm, keeping the neck long, so there's a bit of resistance needed to hold the head up here. It kind of wants to droop, but lift it up, strengthening your neck, keeping your body pretty much flush towards the front of the room. Your hips are stacked. And then coming back up, use your center to pull you back up. Take a gentle counter pose. Maybe you're looking up under the arm, and then bring that arm down, step your knee in. Then the block comes into the other hand, or not, whatever you're using. Extending your right leg. Your toes are pointing forward, and bringing yourself into this big side stretch. So try to avoid the drooping into the left shoulder. Instead, press into the floor of the block and lift up. The hand turns towards the back of the room. You might be looking up. It helps to tuck the chin just a little bit to keep your neck long. Keeping the breath flowing. The shoulder blade can still move, so you're not crunching that shoulder up. It's able to slide away. And then coming back up, using your strength to pull you up, take a little counter pose. And step that knee in. And bring your arms down. Just pause for a moment. And then let's come up to stand. So thinking about how you get up and down off the floor. This is going to be more and more of an important life skill as you get older. Because certainly when we're babies, we start out on our bellies, lifting our heads. Then we start to come up on our hands, like into cobra pose. And then we start to crawl, so we start to be able to move our knees forward. And then pretty soon we're in a squat. You see babies, they're always in these little squats. And then pretty soon they're coming up to stand and they're walking. So they're good at getting up and down off the floor. They have these well-developed muscles in their core. And then we become children and we sit a lot. Maybe we're active. And we become adults and we sit a lot more. And we lose some of that strength and mobility in our bodies that allows us to be comfortable moving through these positions that get us up and down off the floor. So let's come into a little squat. So bringing your feet just a little bit wider than your mat if you're using a mat, or a little wider than your hips. Toes are slightly turned out. Then you're gonna sit back, bending your knees as you push your knees out, keeping your spine long as you come forward, bringing your arms, your forearms down. You might be clasping towards your ankles. So you're reaching back through your sit bones. Press into your heels a little bit to feel activation in the back of your legs and in your glutes. If you want a little more, you could reach forward, even as you're reaching your sit bones back and lifting them slightly so your body is parallel with the floor. And then coming into a forward bend and easing it out. And let's do it one more time. So sit bones, reaching back. You could bring the forearms down onto the lower legs, press your knees out. Sitting back, possibly reaching forward, or you can keep your arms down. So yes, it's a lot of work in the legs and in the hips and the muscles of your butt and core. And then just coming into your forward bend again. You can bend your knees a lot, keeping your spine long. Just letting it go. And then walking your feet apart further. So you're in a wide-legged forward bend. Again, if you need a block or something, we're trying to keep a long spine here. So we're not rounding to get forward. So try bending into one knee and the other, letting your elbows bend and just moving a little bit. Circling in your hips and your shoulders. And walking your hands over towards your right lower leg or ankle. Letting your head relax, maybe onto the arm. And you're tipping your tail up and feeling from your left sit bone probably all the way up the waistline and shoulder on the left side. Rib cage stretching, probably feeling it in your inner thighs. And then walking your hands back through center and over towards the right lower leg. You can come up higher than I'm coming, or down towards your foot. Releasing your head, drawing the right hip back so the sit bones, if you had a wall behind you, would be evenly on the wall, pressing into the wall. So feeling that all the way up the side of your right waist and shoulder. And then walking the hands back to center. Bringing your left hand in between the line of your toes. I like to turn my hands so my fingers are turned back towards my body. And then bringing your right hand back towards sacrum. So you're just turning your spine, keeping the head lifted. So it's the central axis of your body is turning. There's no forward head or shoulders. Hand is on the sacrum. I'm just taking another breath here. Keep a little bend in the knees. And then releasing, bringing your right arm down. Maybe the fingertips turning back. Bringing left hand to sacrum. And opening the chest. Just turning the spine. So it's a twist. Try to lift up out of the floor. You can have your hand on a block if you need to, or on a book or something. So the floor is not quite so far away if you do that. And releasing that side. And again, just bending into one knee and the other. Coming back to center. Heel toe your feet in, stepping your feet together. And just pause for a moment, finding standing mountain pose. And then let's let the arms float up here. So lengthening up. You can lift your gaze. So here, feeling for this, the pubic bone is lifting as you're grounding through your sacrum and through your tailbone. So you're keeping the back in a neutral position. There's not any arch in the low back, extra arch. It's staying neutral. And then from here, you might clasp your left wrist with your right hand and just let your hips go towards the left as you lean towards the right, keeping the neck long, square towards the front of the room. Breathing steadily, and then coming back up and coming to the other side. Hips go to the right, arms go to the left. Maybe looking up. Steady breath. And back up to center. And hands together at your heart. And then arms up again. Inhale. Exhale, come forward into your forward bend, hinging forward at the hips. Your feet are hip width. So coming forward, there's a point where you can't really hinge anymore here. And this is the point where sometimes we start to round, but we're not going to do that right now. We're going to stay in this neutral position. If we wanted to get further towards the floor, we'd have to bend our knees, like to pick something up. So try that. Just bend your knees, kind of sitting your booty back as if you're going to pick something up off the floor. The way that our backs get injured is by this repetitive rounding forward, especially if you're twisting it all and picking a heavy object up. So we want to learn how to keep this strength in the center of our body as we hinge forward, and then using our legs to bend forward to get closer to the floor. So try this, come back up, hinge forward, bend the knees, and then this time step your left foot back. So lean over towards the right, step it back, bring your knee down. Again, bringing the weight back. And then let's step forward. So leaning forward helps to tuck the back toes, coming into the forward bend. This time leaning to your left, stepping your right foot back, bringing your right knee down, and then tuck your back toes. I didn't do that last time. And push off, stepping forward into your forward bend. So when we're doing sun salutations, we're starting here, we're hinging forward, we're coming into our forward bend, and then we're stepping back and coming into a lunge. So practicing those movements. Let's try one sun salutation, and then we'll kind of start to wind it down. So let your arms come up, lift your gaze, exhale, hinge forward at the hip. The knees can be bent as much as you need to. And then we're going to step back with the left foot, this time with the knee lifted, and come into a lunge. And then we're going to sweep our arms down, and we're going to use our center again to step forward or backwards again, this time into downward dog. If that's too much tonight, just come to your knees, come to prayer. Or if downward dog is part of your practice, wrap the elbows in, lift the tail. And then exhale, come forward into plank pose. Keeping the head lifted. The knees can come down or be lifted. And then coming through a push-up with the elbows by the sides to bring your body down to the floor. Sweeping your arms back, lifting up, come into this variation. And then releasing, bringing the hands under the shoulders, bend your knees, tuck your toes. Maybe you stay here in prayer. Maybe you lift your tail, coming up into your downward facing dog. And then from downward dog or from prayer, using consciously moving into warrior one. And then how are you going to come forward into your forward bend? A little bit of momentum and a lot of muscular strength and core strength. Here you are in your forward bend. And then the arms come up. And hands together at your heart. So just thinking about all those transitions. From here, I'm just gonna turn the camera just a little bit. And so if you have a counter or the back of a chair that you can bring your arms, actually let's start with the elbows. Bring the elbows to rest on top of that surface that you've chosen. Lengthening back. And maybe you're pressing fingertips together and palms apart. And kind of broadening in the upper back. So you could do this on your kitchen counter or on the dining room table or the back of a chair. And then bringing your hands on top of it. And maybe if it's a chair, you can grab it and draw your hips back. So you're now in a forward bend. Maybe the hands are resting. Keeping your head lifted so you're not dropping the head forward. And then walking the feet in. See if you can use that chair or whatever your hands are on to help you come into a squat. And if that's too much, just stay up. Requires a little more strength to do so, but and then all the way back up, press into your heels, lift up, come into a little back bend, lifting your heart and releasing. Let's do a couple things for the shoulders here. So let's start taking your right hand and bringing the back of the hand into like the sacrum. So you're rolling the shoulder back and pressing your hand into the back and keeping this neutral alignment of your spine. And breathing. And then you might be able to walk your hand up a little bit higher and still pressing the back of the hand into the center of your back. But not moving you're not arching your upper back at all. You're staying steady. And breathing. And then release that arm. Bringing the back of your left hand into your back. Standing up tall and staying steady as you press the back of your hand, which also lets you roll the shoulder back and down. And then maybe you can walk it up a little bit higher at a different angle, still pressing the back of the hand into the back. Steady breath. And release, and just let your arms hang a little bit. And then we're going to come up against the wall, and you're going to bring your, let's say, right hand, walking it down just a little bit below the shoulder, coming into your standing mountain pose, and your elbow can be bent, and then you're kind of turning away, keeping your body in this long, tall spine. Opening up the front of the chest, you can feel the shoulder blade sliding down, kind of pressing into the rib cage. Breathing. Keeping the head neutral, so not forward or tipping the head back, just keeping the chin level with the floor. And release that side, and then come to the other side. So your left arm is back and slightly below the shoulder. Finding this long, tall spine. You're free and deep breathing. And maybe bending the elbow a little bit and feeling the shoulder blade. Kind of sliding down and pressing into the lower ribs or middle of your rib cage. So stretch of the front of your chest, of your pecs. Lots of breath and releasing. And then let's bring the arms out to the sides. You could have your thumbs pointing up. Again, finding this long neutral spine. So you're not changing this part of your body at all. You're just rounding your shoulders forward and bringing your head forward and rounding a little bit in the upper back. And then rolling the shoulders back And moving through that, so it's upper back, neck, and shoulders. And then release your arms and let it go. Just let your arms swing a little bit. Let them be dead weight. See if you can totally relax the arms. So the arms are just swinging and they're bouncing off your body. And coming back to center. And then let's go through one more time on your chair or your counter, coming into your forward bend, lengthening back. You can bend your knees, keep your spine long. And then walking the feet in, coming into a squat. So keeping your hands up. Nice to have the bar because I can grip it, but you might be able to do that at home. Or just resting the hands. And then coming all the way up again, a little bit of a back bend. You can come up onto the balls of the feet, pressing your hips forward, lengthening up, and releasing that. And then let's come out. I'm just gonna turn the camera back. I'm gonna come back out onto the floor. And if you have a ball at home, so these balls are about like $9 or $10. It's a mini basketball. So if you have anything like this at home, we're gonna come down onto our back and bring it behind the head. And then just relaxing your arms down by your sides, turning your head from side to side. This is a great thing to have at home. Maybe one of your kids has something you can use. And then bringing the ball down and putting it underneath your sacrum. So if you don't have a ball like this, you can do this without the ball. So if you have the ball, bringing it underneath your sacrum. And just press your tailbone into the ball and then lift it a few times. So just moving the pelvis. And then bringing your legs up. So if you don't have a ball, you could just be on the floor, and we're gonna exhale, bring your right heel towards the floor. Toes are slightly turned out. Your upper body is totally released. You're using the center of your body, one leg at a time. Keeping the breath moving, so inhaling the leg down, exhaling it back up. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. It's a little harder without the ball. So we'll do one more set, everybody without the ball. So relaxing upper body. You can kind of tuck the shoulder blades under, palms facing open. Exhaling, bringing the heel of your right foot towards the floor and back up. Press the tailbone into the floor as you inhale your leg back up. So you're keeping this lumbar curve. One more time on each side. And then draw the knees in, rock a little bit side to side. And then bring your arms out to the sides, bringing the feet straight up. If your knees are bent a little, that's okay. Then keeping your sacrum on the floor, so the hips do not lift up. You're keeping your lower back pinned to the floor. Let your legs go side to side. So one foot will slide down the inner leg or ankle. So you're moving, controlling the movement with your core muscles in your belly and low back. So side to side, keeping your head and shoulders relaxed. Keeping tailbone on the floor, sacrum on the floor. A couple more times. Probably starting to feel it in your belly. And then draw the knees in and let it go. Bringing your left foot down, bring your ankle, your right ankle on top of your left knee. You might take your hands right up where your thighs come into your pelvis and kind of press away, making a little space. You'll feel a little traction in your low back like that. And then bringing your arms through, you might be able to reach back for your thigh, keeping your pelvis on the floor. So if this causes your lower back to really round up, just let go of your hands. Maybe you're only lifting your foot off the floor a little bit, just to the place where your tailbone starts to round up. So you'll probably feel that in your outer right hip muscle, those deep 6 hip rotators. So rocking a little bit side to side. And then bringing your foot back to the floor and unwind your legs. Bringing left ankle on top of right knee. You might press into your thighs right as they come up into the pelvis there. Again, feeling a little tractioning maybe in the lower back. That might feel good. And then maybe you're reaching back, flexing your foot on the left side, your left foot that is. Your foot on the left side is your left foot. Lifting your right foot up off the floor, you might be able to reach back behind your thigh and draw that knee in. So maybe pushing your left knee out a little bit with your left elbow and then rocking a little side to side. And then bringing that foot back down to the floor and unwinding your leg. Drawing your knees in, again, rocking side to side. Maybe this time you could make like frog legs on your back. And just pause there. And then draw the knees in. And bring your feet hip width again, just like we did at the beginning of class. Arms out to the side, so your feet are actually a little wider than your hips. Letting your knees drop towards the left and the right. Very slowly. Towards the left and the right. And then coming back to center, draw your right knee in towards your chest, extend your left leg, and just take an easy twist. So probably keeping your shoulders on the floor, which might mean that your knee doesn't come all the way down. Or maybe it does, just depends on your body. Mine doesn't. If I want to keep my shoulder on the floor, that is. If I was to bring my knee over, then my shoulder's going to lift up, and that doesn't feel very good, actually. And then rolling back onto your back, and extending the right leg, drawing your left knee in towards the chest. And letting that knee come over. Might feel different on the other side. And again, I'm going to let my left shoulder stay on the floor. I'm looking back over my left shoulder. Bringing the spiral all the way up into my neck, which of course is part of your spine, your cervical spine. And then rolling back onto my back again. I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together and my knees apart. If that feels uncomfortable for your body, sometimes it's nice to support. You could put pillows underneath your thighs. Or just straighten your legs out. But if this feels good, you could bring your arms up above your head or maybe out into like cactus shape or goalpost arms. And then finding the breath, you're on your back. You could close your eyes as we move towards our final resting pose. Extending your legs, bringing the arms down by your sides, palms facing open. Relaxing back and allowing the effects of your practice to integrate into your body, mind, and spirit. Just feeling the good effects of moving your body, practicing yoga, conscious breathing, letting yourself be heavy and relaxed. If you feel like there's anything kind of that didn't serve you tonight, you could just let it kind of drain out into the earth beneath you. And then just allowing all the things that did serve you from your practice tonight to kind of be further cemented into your being. Whatever they are, feeling greater mobility or flexibility in your body, greater strength, more balance, more breath consciousness, lots of possibilities. Greater ability to observe yourself, and be aware of yourself and your habits, not just the movement habits, but the habits of our mind. And just another breath or two here on your back in this relaxing corpse pose. And then you might draw the knees in towards your chest and roll onto your left side. And we'll just come back up to a seat, and I like to sit up on something. So you might too, you might have a cushion or something. So setting yourself up and taking a couple breaths in this upright position. So letting your eyes close again and finding your long spine. And just taking a couple of breaths here, in and out through the nose. Keeping your face relaxed and feeling this long, balanced spine. No strain in your neck or shoulders. And then you might bring your hands together at your heart and just pause to recall your intention or your dedication for practice if you set one. You might bow your head to that, bowing your head to your heart, and bowing to your own practice, to your own inner teacher, your higher self or your higher power. Namaste, and thank you so much for coming to this class this evening or watching it later. I do a meditation, and I said that I was going to do it at 8:15, but during the course of this last hour, I broke my glasses, so I actually can't see the screen. So I'm going to go home and do my meditation at about 9, maybe a little before that. So if you're joining me for that, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.